Welcome to Sunday Springboard. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so happy to be with you today and talk to you a little bit. Welcome to Sunday Springboard with Melanie and Kimberlin Coaching, where we help women recover from and flourish after stress and trauma. Have you ever wanted to do something that you were afraid of? Did it keep you from doing it, or did you go ahead and do it? I wanted to do a ropes course. I wanted to do this for so many years. I just dreamed of it, longed for it, just thought it would just be the best, greatest thing. And finally, a couple years ago, I got a chance to do it. I'm so excited. I signed up for it. I was going on a singles retreat. Several of the ladies that were my friends, they did not want to do it. They were too afraid. This did not sound like a fun thing to them. So there's just a few of us that signed up for it, and I'm so excited for this. We get there, we get all buckled in, all our safety harness and everything, and we start up. And you have to climb up all these stairs to get to the first level, and each level is a little higher and does different things. So we do the first level, and I did great. I did fine. Crossed on these boards and did good. Well, the one lady that ended up being with me said, that's it. I'm too scared. I'm leaving. And I'm like, oh my word, I can't believe you're leaving. This is so great. This is so much fun. I'm continuing on. So I go around the corner and I get ready to start the next set. And I couldn't do it. I could not set my foot on the board. The boards kind of were moving back and forth, and I absolutely could not move forward. And there was nothing, this was no real fear, right? I mean, I'm hooked up with a harness, all these chains. The worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to fall off. They're going to have to come get me, and I might be a little embarrassed, but there's no true danger here. And yet I could not do it. I had to stop, back up, and say, I'm out of here. I was so sad. I was so frustrated that I absolutely could not do it. Then I went ahead and did a zip line, and I was able to do that. So I think the ropes course was scarier to me because I was in charge of myself, doing what I had to do, and I couldn't do it. And the zip line, you just put me in and pushed me off, and it was great and wonderful. Losing that ropes course, not getting to do it, in the scheme of things was not a big deal. But there are many times in life our fear keeps us from doing things that perhaps are big deals. We lose out on opportunities in life, and we lose out on living joyfully and powerfully because of our fears. Hang on and let me share my screen with you. Okay, if you remember, we were still talking about stress and how to reduce stress. And one of the important things is how to regulate our bodies in the moment. Generally, we're going to use a breathing exercise, or we're going to do some kind of activity. Walking, moving, dancing, laughing, singing. Those two things are some of the best ways to get ourselves to calm down or energized when we have been triggered. The next thing is we've talked about, can we get rid of the stressful situation? Can we get out of it? Sometimes we can, sometimes we cannot. And then we talked about it's not the situation most of the time that causes the stress, it's our reaction to that situation. How can we decrease our reaction? So we've been going through these core disciplines for many weeks. We talked about becoming aware, accepting it, and then after we do that, we can make conscious choices. We talked about trusting the process, and then being real, being ourselves, because when you're trying to be someone else, that's very stressful. Now, if you missed the previous videos on this, go back to my website, KimberlinCoaching.com, and you can watch all the past videos where I go into this in depth. Today, we have moved on to fearlessness. We've already talked about it once, and then we took a break and we talked about singing last week. But we're continuing on with our fearlessness this week. This week, we're going to talk about what are you afraid of? We talked a little bit about what is fear 2 weeks ago, and it's the anticipation of a negative outcome. Now, the dictionary, the definition again is that fear is a distressing emotion. So it's aroused by impending danger, evil, pain, whether the threat is real or imagined. It's the condition, feeling or condition of being afraid. And remember, you're only afraid of things in the future. You're not afraid of things that have already happened. You're not afraid of things that are happening right now. You may not like them. You may be feeling uncomfortable or unhappy or whatever, but you're not afraid. You're only afraid of things in the future. Why is fear so pervasive? Why does it get such a hold on us? So it's born again out of our self-protection. Remember, our brains want us to be safe. So one of the things it tries to do is it thinks, okay, if I put this person in fear, they will stop moving themselves into this situation that is dangerous. So when something happens, like you fear losing what you have, you fear losing what you want to keep it, your mind is like saying, if I can just keep them in the fear, they will stop risking these things. They will stop risking losing whatever. And it tries to stop you from feeling the pain. But what it does is it just paralyzes and freezes you and keeps you from living a joyful, powerful life. Now, there are some true dangers. There are some things that obviously you're always going to be afraid of, probably, unless you're a Marine or SEAL or something. But they're also afraid. But, if someone is shooting a gun at you, or for me, I put snakes, because that's something that, these are real dangers. These could truly cause you injury, pain, death, whatever. However, most of the things that we fear are not life-threatening. There are different types of fears. So the basic fears that we've had since the day we were created, since the day we're a baby, we have fears of dying, fears of being injured. Babies, of course, don't really think of that, but fears of being alone. These are basic fears that everyone has to some degree, and it has been with humanity since the beginning. Now, fears can be situational or chronic. Situational are based on current events, something going on right now. Maybe you have a test coming up and you're worried about the test and afraid for the test. Excuse me. I had a catch in my throat. So a situational one is something coming up, it's going to be over or whatever. Chronic are things you've been afraid of for a long time. Maybe you've been afraid of speaking out in public, and this is something that's been with you for a very long time. Maybe because of traumatic events that you've had early in life. Maybe you're afraid of men, or maybe you're afraid of the dark, or different things. But chronic is something that's been with you for a while. Our fears do things to us that keep us living in this state of arousal. We're always aware, we're looking, we're trying to decide, where is the danger, where am I going to be hurt? And when you're living in this fear, it keeps you from pursuing life. It keeps you from pursuing opportunities. It drains your energy, like we've talked about it, and it keeps you back. It holds you back from trying anything new or different. It's just too scary. And your brain, when your brain is worried about you in this situation, and you don't do what your brain's telling you not to do, it gives you a little dopamine hit. So it makes you feel good not to do these things. So we have to trick our brains sometimes, and that's something we'll keep on working on. Fears, again, make us afraid to try something. Maybe we're afraid to try it because in the past we tried it maybe once and it didn't work. Or maybe we have a lot on the line. Maybe if I try this and it doesn't go right, then I'm going to lose this. And whatever it is that I might lose is worth too much to me. I'm not willing to risk losing that. And as we know, fears keep us awake at night. How many sleepless nights have we had because we were worrying about something? And so much of the time, whatever we were worried about does not come to pass. Here are some common fears that you may have had or in the past or now or will have in the future. So one that we all pretty much share is not being good enough. So there's fear of failure. What if what I'm doing fails, I look bad, and I lose my job or whatever. But then there's also fear of success. This one is very interesting because sometimes we sabotage ourselves so that we don't succeed. Because what would it look like for me to be successful? Maybe we don't feel worthy of it, or maybe we're afraid of the responsibility of it. We think I won't be able to do this new thing that would happen if I am successful. So we're afraid of both. We're afraid of failing and we're afraid of succeeding. We're afraid of being embarrassed. We're afraid of getting old. We're afraid of dying. We're both. We're afraid of losing our health. We're afraid of performing poorly. We're afraid of looking foolish. We're afraid of making mistakes, and we're afraid of losing someone or something that is important to us and we hold dear. And the biggest one of all, the one that is the big one, change and the unknown. This strikes fear and terror into most of us. Unless you have a different kind of mindset where you embrace and enjoy the challenge of the change and the unknown, then this will cause you a lot of fear and worry. And that's one of the things that as we're trying to change our mindset, remember we've talked before about the performance mindset where you feel like you have to do it perfect or you're a failure, versus the learning mindset. I've lost my word all of a sudden there. But the mindset of growing and learning. And when we have that kind of mindset, the change in the unknown is not so scary to us. As we're trying to overcome these fears, we got to get behind the fears. We might say, I'm afraid, let's say this project I've got going on at work. I'm afraid if it doesn't fail. What am I afraid of? I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my job, or I'm afraid of looking bad. So we're going to look at what's behind our fears, and then when we get to that, what's at the core of our issues. The fear is just kind of the symptoms, and underneath it is what's going on with us. So here's an example. I was just starting this one. So afraid of something not working out. So let's try what I said. We got the project at work. I'm afraid it's not going to work out. Well, why? What does that mean if it doesn't work out? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to be embarrassed. Well, I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of looking foolish. Why? What does that mean? Most of our fears, when we go through these things, and this is what I do as a coach, I help you talk through and find the underneath. I was talking to someone the other day. When this happens, what do you feel? I feel angry. I feel resentment. And what does that mean? What is under that anger and that resentment? Well, we finally got to that person did not feel loved, did not feel respected, did not feel important. So the first things that come up in our thoughts are not necessarily what's really going on. And as a coach, I help you get to what's underneath the outside. What many, many times we get down to when we start peeling all that away is that gremlin of feeling not good enough. Not good enough. This is one that most of us fight, but it is something that we can get over and move through, and then just have little bits of it. All right, I'm going to give you some questions that you can ask yourself that will help you with letting go of the fear. Now, you might be able to answer these questions, and this might help you greatly, and you can let go of the fears on your own, or you may decide that you want a little bit of help. If you do, obviously, you know that I would love to visit with you. There's a link at the bottom of the show notes. Click the link, schedule a session, and I'll give you a free coaching session, and we can talk about whether we would like to, whether coaching would be powerful for you, and whether you and I would resonate for that. So here's some questions. Make a list. What are some of your fears, or your main fears, the big ones? And then, are they situational or are they chronic? Are they something that's just going on right now, and in a little while you're not going to be afraid of this? Or is it something that's just you've been dealing with all your life? How much energy do these fears cost you? How many sleepless nights? How much discomfort you feel when your body's all revved up and aware and reacting? How many opportunities have you lost? I think that might be up here. Yes, we're up here. So how many opportunities have you passed up? And then what are the beliefs behind your fears? This is where you have to go underneath and not just not just stay with those first thoughts. So the belief, like, so if your job didn't go well, the project didn't go well, several of the beliefs could be, if it doesn't go well, I'm going to lose my job. If it doesn't go well, people are going to think I'm stupid. People are going to think I can't do my job. People are going to disapprove of me. They're going to laugh at me. If I don't do this well, this means I'm lazy. This means I don't have expertise. This means I'm not good enough, right? Most of the time it gets down to that. And then, like I said before, what opportunities have you passed up? Did you get a chance to get a promotion or take a different job and you didn't do it because you were afraid you weren't going to be able to? Did you have a possible relationship that you just could not bring yourself to risk because you were afraid of it failing? There's all kind of things that may have come up in your life and you did not take advantage or didn't risk it because it was too scary. Well, let's do some imagining. What would it be like if you weren't afraid? How willing would you be to let go of some of these fears? And what would your life look like if you let go of those fears? Just kind of imagine it. Take each fear. Let's say you're afraid of driving at night or driving on freeways. What would life look like if you did not have that fear? What would it change? Would it be worth letting go of it? So that's the end of the questions. If you would like some help, like I said, schedule a session. Meanwhile, I hope you have a week full of being fearless, not full of fear. That you have a great week, and I hope to see you next week.